All right, we are back with another pick'em video, and in this one, it's coming out the night before, so it's pretty late right now. Going to be looking at matchups specifically in this one, so hopefully it kind of gives you a jump start on your research process for the day. Looking at guys that have maybe good scoring matchups, teams that give up a lot of points, maybe good rebounding potential for some guys, assists and things like that. And again, just kind of a jump start for you guys to start looking into certain guys that you might be seeing some sort of value on. I am going to give you a slip on a particular platform that I'm seeing a lot of value right now. Again, it's like 1 o'clock right now Eastern time, so lines just starting to come out for these games. But sometimes that's really good spots to get certain value because the books aren't fully caught up. They haven't seen where the betting money is going, and if you see a line that's lower than some other books that are already coming out, those books just might be a little bit behind. So I will give you guys a slip in this video, but potentially giving out a ton of different value in terms of guys that have good matchups in particular, realms, rebounds, assists, points, whatever it might be. So that's what we're going to be doing for this one. If you're new around here, definitely go ahead and subscribe, leave the video a like, comment something down below, and let's just hop into the board. All right, so Future Rich kind of jumping in here. I know this video is super long. I just finished it, but definitely let me know in the comments down below if this is too much information, if it was boring, just, be totally honest with it. If you got a lot out of it, maybe you're, eating lunch or making some food while listening to it. It could definitely be something that could be in a routine. It gets me thinking about the plays for when I wake up tomorrow and start, actually starting to look at some value when more lines are out and things like that. But yeah, definitely feel free to fast forward a little bit. I talk about the tools and how I use them. So if you're someone that's like, hey, get to the picks, I don't really care about all this, just keep in mind you can skip ahead to when I really start diving into things. But just wanted to point that out, and yeah, enjoy the video. All right, so jumping into the desktop screen here, first of all, going to be using a bunch of different tools, going to be showing you guys particular platforms that you might want to hop on for, again, some decent value out there. They're going to be affiliate links in certain ways to give back to the channel. But anytime you guys sign up using my code or something like that, you're going to get a perk. So whether it's a free trial on a tool or a deposit match or something on a new platform that you want to try out, it's a great way to, again, to support what I'm doing here. But every single time you guys use my code, I'm going to give it back to you in some sort of way. Again, you get the perk of the deposit match, the free trial, the discount, or whatever it might be. But also I'm going to give you a free month of my Discord community, which we have a whole lot of fun. Again, I'm not trying to push it too much, but it's just a community where like-minded people come together. We're always talking sports, talking props, talking different plays, and it's also where you get access to any slip that I make. Particularly, I tag you guys or whatever. You can turn notifications on or off, but I'll tag you. You'll get a notification. You go ahead and tail anything that I put out for the day. So just keep that in mind. Any of the codes, they're all in the links in the description of this video. There's how you get into that Discord community and all those different things. And yeah, very, very self-explanatory in the description of this video. All right, so the screen I have up right now, this is on a website called RotoWire. Again, they have an awesome projection tool on, PrizePicks, on Underdog, Sleeper, Pick Six, any of these different things, and they're integrated with that thing. So they have a bunch of different tools and stuff. But I'm going to start here just to show you guys the matchups, the games we got going on, and any sort of injury news we have going here. So going to quickly run through the games and kind of talk about anything that kind of pops out to me. So we got the Warriors and the Pacers here. Couple guys out for the Warriors. Kuminga's going to be out for a while. Wiggins already ruled out for tomorrow as well. So good fast-paced matchup for someone like Steph Curry, someone even like Dennis Schroeder who can score a decent amount. But we'll be looking at specific guys in a little bit, really just focusing on the injuries. And then the Indiana side, we have Halliburton, Miles Turner game time decisions. Turner did miss last game, so that's something to monitor. I do expect probably Halliburton to play, but that's that first game. Milwaukee and Orlando. Milwaukee kind of doing a Lakers type thing. Everyone's going to be questionable for this game. It looks like Lillard, Giannis, I would expect. Even Chris Middleton looks like he's probably going to play in this one. But Orlando, really, really good defensive team. We also get Paolo Banchero probably back tomorrow. He's on my fantasy team. Been waiting for him to come back. Obviously started the year ridiculously hot, and this should be a fun one to watch. You see the Lakers. Orlando 22-17 to start the season with everyone out. Wagner, Paolo obviously, and now Suggs, the latest injury on the top three guys for Orlando. But they're a scrappy defensive team for sure. So this one should be a fun one to watch. Then we got the Pelicans and Philadelphia. Is Trey Murphy going to be out? Yes. Is Brandon Ingram going to be out? Yes. Is Zion going to be out? Looks like no here. So going to get a decent amount of Zion. He didn't look like he missed a beat. 360, wide open dunk to get him back into things. He's played 28 minutes in his return. So I don't expect him to be on like a super minutes limit. But if you see his lines coming out, very low, it's something to definitely try to attack. No Embiid down there, no Drummond down there to play defense for Philadelphia. So they're running Gershon Yabusele at that center position. Could be a really good spot for someone like Zion. And then CJ McCollum obviously been playing really, really well. DeJounte Murray has not been shooting the ball well at all this year. But again, something definitely to think about. But the injury news, obviously Trey Murphy, Brandon Ingram, huge misses for these guys. Herb Jones for the Pelicans. They are an abysmal 7-31, even though they got a lot of decent players on that team. But just injuries have plagued them, kind of similar to Philadelphia. Sacramento and Boston, that's going to be a 7:30 slot. Obviously, I'm a big Celtics fan, so I'll be watching. This one doesn't look like a ton of injury news. The Celtics kind of have like one guy out, it seems like, every single game, but they look healthy and ready to go. And in the Sacramento side, Fox is a game time decision, but looking like a pretty healthy game for this one. The Thunder and the Knicks, that's going to be another fun one. OKC has had a very, very tough string of games lately, but other than that loss to the Cavs, they've been just beating these teams right at the top of the East. They beat my Celtics. They beat the Knicks a little bit ago. Now they got the Knicks again, and they have the Cavs coming up in like a week or so again too. But they're going to want some kind of revenge coming off that loss to the Cavs, and I expect another good one here. Caruso continues to be out. Obviously, Chet out for this one, but those are the main guys. And then the Knicks pretty much look fully healthy. Towns game time decision. I kind of expect him to play in this one, and this is going to be a Hartenstein return as well to New York, so that should be a fun one, good one to look at for him because he's been playing very, very consistently. Washington and Chicago, very, very high scoring potential for this one. Obviously, Washington is pretty much horrible. Jordan Poole's missed the last few games. Sarr has missed the last few games. Kuzma's back, but he just doesn't look like himself or like he did last year. Kubali's always an interesting one, but this could be a great game if you want to look at some overs. Zach LaVine without Ayo Dosunmu has been a scoring machine. He scored like 30 plus in 5 of the games that Ayo's missed this year, so he's probably going to be the first guy I talk about today. It's going to be a high-paced game and definitely a good one for some overs. And then Brooklyn and Denver. Jokic has missed the last few games. He has that illness that seems like every NBA player has got so far this year that knocks him out for a game or two or sometimes even a little bit longer. I kind of expect Jokic to be back. He already missed 2 games with this illness, so you'd think he might be nearing a return. And then Brooklyn obviously struggling decent amount. They got some guys that they're probably going to be trading here. Cam Johnson probably being one of them, but he's going to be out. No D'Lo, no Cam Thomas. They're super injured. I bet some of you guys haven't even heard of Noah Clowney. But Nick Claxton, another guy that's been struggling all year. Tough to bet on Brooklyn with all these injuries, but could be a decent spot for someone if they've been playing pretty well because Denver's defense has not been great either. But if Jokic does play, he's had some rest now, obviously being ill, but could be a really good spot for him to kind of dominate down there. And then other guys that have been playing really well. If he is out, Westbrook has been a guy that you could actually rely on this year for this Denver team with Jokic in the lineup, but definitely without Jokic in the lineup. So that could also be another good spot for us. So those are the 7 games. I know it kind of took a little bit while to get through there, but definitely good for you guys to know injury implications that might be going into this. Keep an eye out for if you really wanted to go to a certain player and maybe you didn't know, maybe Steph Curry's under. He's been hitting this under a decent amount. Remember, Kuminga, Wiggins is out. That's just one example. But now we're going to start talking about some actual plays, guys that have good lineups and good matchups for today, probably starting with Zach LaVine. So let's hop into that. And again, if you want to check out RotoWire, link is in the description. You get 2 days free just to mess around with this platform, with also the projection model that they have, which is awesome. Again, integrated with PrizePicks, Underdog, Sleeper, Pick 6, DraftKings, all these different types of things. So it's a pretty sweet deal. Again, check out the link in the description. Just lets them know that I sent you there, but you also get those 2 days free. Now hopping over to Outlier, another freaking awesome tool. You're going to see the power of Outlier. I use it every single day. It's going to be awesome for seeing hit rates, seeing how certain guys play without players in the lineup, so like injuries and stuff like that, how that affects guys. But obviously hit rates is very easy to go through. It also shows opponent rank, which we get to see right here. This is all the 7 games for tomorrow, and you get to see obviously Washington, a great example for a lot of Chicago players and who's been playing pretty well the last few games. Jalen Smith, I'd assume has been out, so you've seen Jalen Smith step up in the scoring. He only plays 14 or so minutes, so it's tough to go to a guy like that. But Zach LaVine is kind of the guy that I'm focusing on. If you want to check out Outlier, the link is in the description. You get a free week when you sign up using my link. So pretty sweet deal. But Zach LaVine's going to be the first guy we look at. Not going to go super in depth like we usually do, just because we're going to be just checking out guys that have good matchups. Obviously, Washington, horrible defensively. You can see he hasn't played them this year, but did score 32 against them last year in January. And then 2024, only over in 44% of games, but he's definitely a guy that could be traded to maybe a more of a contender. Guys that, teams that might be wanting a scorer, a wing scorer. And Zach LaVine, I think, is, decently underrated, but guy that people can definitely trade for. His value's not too high. And you can see his scoring has been awesome, especially with Ayo out of the lineup. His minutes have been high in these games. They're actually favored to win this game by a whole bunch of points. But yeah, specifically the last few games without Ayo Dosunmu in the lineup, 5 of 6 games so far. 83% hit rate, scored 30 plus in 5 of those games, other than that one dud against Milwaukee. So great matchup here for a guy like Zach LaVine if you want to attack that. And then moving over to the OddsJam tool that I use, this is the Sportsbook screen on OddsJam. You can also get a free week of OddsJam if you use my description code or link. Again, always a good way to support the channel, but again, you're going to get some sort of perk. And you can see that every book pretty much has this at 26.5. A couple books favoring the under here, so I wouldn't be playing this on PrizePicks or Underdog or Betr maybe just yet. Obviously, these lines could move, but as they come out, looks like they're favoring the under just a tiny bit. If you wanted to go to Zach LaVine, and probably the way that I will be doing this is on Dabble, because they're the only book right now that have them at 26.0. So that's just kind of the best value out there. Dabble, if you use code RichDFS when signing up, they give you $25 free. I use Dabble all the time. It has awesome market value. I also have a Dabble slip that I'm going to give you guys that has a decent 3-man to go off of. 6x for 3-man on Dabble, which is just better than 5x on PrizePicks. I'm repping the PrizePicks gear actually right now, but they don't always have the best value. Dabble's one of those that do have really good value. So Zach LaVine, kind of the first play I wanted to talk about. And if you wanted to play it, Dabble would probably be the way that I would go. Again, if you sign up using my code, free month of the Discord as well. And then moving on to the next play, not going to spend too much time on this because it's an under on a superstar, but got to point out Giannis going against Orlando. He's played well against them. He's actually played them once already this year, and he had 37 against them last year, 35 against them. Maybe not something that I would play right now, but wanted to point out the fact that he's under in 47% of games, not looking too good, but Giannis is a man of the people. He loves playing in Milwaukee, it seems. In away games, he's under in 75% of games, so going against a really, really good defense who's getting Paolo Banchero back, just something to maybe keep an eye on. Not a whole lot of books have him out, but specifically because everyone's a game time decision. But away games with Damian Lillard in the lineup and Chris Middleton in the lineup, there just hasn't been a lot of them, but under in 67% of games, under in 80% of games, and then in just general away games, he's been under in 75% of those. So tough matchup in Orlando, but Giannis is Giannis. He could, always go for 35 plus. So just to clarify there, I'd be leaning towards his under, not something I'm super excited about, but something I wanted to point out just because he has, been consistently under this against a good defense in away games. All right, so moving along to the next guy here, another under on a superstar type player, but Brunson at 24.5 just seems a little bit too high. Going against the Thunder, who have consistently shut down point guards. Not a whole lot of players have played well against the Thunder, specifically guards. We saw what they just did to Donovan Mitchell, and we also saw what they did to Brunson. He only scored 22 points in that matchup about a week ago, so that's something to look at. This is a team that he actually went under in 2 of 3 games, or 1 of 2 games last year where we saw him go over a ton. Obviously, he was a scoring machine last year, specifically at the latter part of the season where Thibodeau just started running his guys through the roof, like 40 minutes a game. But he hasn't been getting that much time this year, averaging 35 minutes as opposed to, I don't even know what he was averaging last year. But yeah, under in 59% of games. And the big thing here is he is home where other guys step up. OG Anunoby scores better at home. Mikal Bridges, I think, scores better at home. And we can see that in the hit rate for Brunson. Under in 12 of 16 games, 75% hit rate in games at home, and not even close on some of these games. The big thing here is that we talked about it earlier, Towns' game time decision. If Towns doesn't play, this is not something I would go to because Brunson definitely picks up the slack when he misses games. I think Towns will play this one, but if he doesn't, we've seen him go for 37, 31, and then 24 again versus that really good Orlando defense. But if Towns plays, this is something that I'm definitely interested in. Again, they call it a torture chamber for a reason. He just shut down Donovan Mitchell, who is also not scoring extremely well this season. We've kind of seen the similar thing with Jalen Brunson, who, again, has not been scoring well. 59% of games he's been under, and very, very tough matchup for Brunson for today's game. In terms of the match, or in terms of the market value out here, PrizePicks actually has pretty good value at 24.5 right now. Most books at 23.5. You see Pinnacle just jumped to 23.5. Anyone that's at 24.5 looks like it's pretty much just DraftKings. They're favoring the under here. So again, Towns is going to be the big question mark here. Is he going to play or not? But I would potentially roll the dice on this one, hoping Towns does play this one and see Brunson go under this once again. And it's just a really good spot for him. So Brunson under, definitely a decent spot to look into. And I was just going over all my tabs looking for this one, but RotoWire projection model has him under pretty much a lot of his lines, but 24.5, they're projecting 22.47. So another data point pointing in the right direction for Brunson, fading him today. Then I want to quickly talk about DeMar DeRozan here. You can see under is popping up for in terms of like the matchup here against Boston. But with Fox, a game time decision, this is something I might want to maybe roll the dice on if Fox misses tomorrow's game. It might be a boost here for DeMar DeRozan. But again, the big thing here for DeRozan, who has gone over this line, or I guess it's 18.5 at a lot of different books, over this line in 59% of games, a ton of this at the beginning of the season. Since Malik Monk has entered the starting lineup, it's been very hit or miss. But in away games, he's been really, really consistent. DeMar DeRozan, one of the most consistent scorers we've seen in the league the past 10 years. 85% of games he's gone over this in away games, and hasn't been shut down by Boston a whole bunch in his career, especially last year. Obviously, totally different situation. Now he's in Sacramento, but over in all 3 games last year against Boston, not saying too much because he hit this mark into 80% of games last year, but definitely something to look into. Again, I know Boston's defense is ranked 5th, but they can sometimes play kind of quick basketball. They shoot a whole bunch of threes, which sometimes is early in the shot clock. So, they blow out a lot of teams at the same time. It's a 10.5 point spread. So something I would be considering. I don't think I'd look at his under, but if anything, I'd be taking a look at his over just because he's played so well on the road. And then as of right now, Dabble probably has the best value out there. Again, fixed payout system like PrizePicks, like Underdog, like Betr, but they're sitting at 19 where all these other ones are sitting at 19.5. Pretty much every book has them at 19.5, a couple at 18.5 favoring the over, any book that has them at 19.5 favoring the under. So in terms of market value, probably be looking at Dabble here again. And then before we move on to the next stat, probably rebounds here, I want to just point out guys that have been hitting their overs a little bit more consistently. So last 10 games by Portis, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, guys that have been hitting their overs. Obviously injury implications and things like that, people that have been missing time. C.J. McCollum, another guy that's been hot, but Zion coming back is kind of interesting. Gershon Yabusele, I know that Embiid's out, but Paul George potentially playing. And then Jordan Poole's missed about a week, but he was really hot before he got injured. He's got a really good matchup against Chicago. So these are all guys that you could be potentially looking at for some overs. Bilal Coulibaly's cooled off the last 5 games, but before that was doing pretty well. So some solid spots there. And then going to the RotoWire projection model, here's just points again. They like a lot of unders for specific guys. Again, you got to consider the injury news and things like that, but kind of just scrolling through here, maybe give you guys a good idea. This prediction tab is just based on where other sportsbooks have their lines. I'm on the PrizePicks tab right now, but maybe more just looking at the RotoWire projection model. Vucevic, Patrick Williams, Caleb Martin, these are all guys that they're liking the overs in terms of where PrizePicks has their line right now. And then for the unders, looking at Buddy Hield, Zion is a guy it's just kind of scary to go to. We don't know how many minutes he's going to play. Tyrese Maxey, Jordan Poole, again, they don't like his under or his over just because he's missed time, but maybe getting some ideas, just showing you guys some more data points. All right, moving into the rebound section of the video here. First guy I'm going to be looking at is Nikola Vucevic. Again, Washington's going to be always a team to attack for a certain amount of overs, but Vucevic has been rebounding really, really well, especially recently, the last 10 games or so. He's just been a dominant player. Again, another guy that's on the trade block, someone that the Bulls would love to let go. So I would expect them to keep kind of showing him off. And he's been dominating the rebounding section. Now he gets the best matchup you can get in terms of reboundings to centers, 22 ranked. So they also give up a whole bunch. In terms of his head-to-head matchups with Washington, again, all last year, but great hit rate, 4 of 4 games. As you look at that, 55% of games last year, 50% this year. He's been rebounding a decent, pretty much the same as last year than this year in terms of going over this line. But great matchups versus the Wizards, who do look a little bit different with Valanciunas down there now, but definitely a decent spot for him. They are home. They are a big favorite here. So if Chicago comes in here and runs these guys off the floor, that's the only worry. But Vucevic definitely in a decent spot to go over. You might have to pay some juice at the 10.5, but Looks like Dabble, I assume PrizePicks, Underdog, Betr will all open their slips at 11.0. So definitely a spot that Vucevic could eclipse. Another good rebound spot's going to be Karl Anthony Towns. Again, going to be a game time decision for tomorrow, but if he does play, this is looking really, really good. We've seen OKC run small ball because they haven't had Chet Holmgren. They just have Hartenstein down there. And when he's out, we've seen teams like the Cavs, even like the Celtics in the first half of their game, really dominate down low. So Towns definitely in a good spot here, going up against a team that allows a ton of rebounds to centers, 22nd ranked. So another good situation for a guy like Towns who has been very, very dominant on the boards. But again, he's a game time decision. That's something you got to take into account here. But going against a guy that used to play in New York, he's going to try to maybe show him who's boss. And if we get a good game, 3.5 point spread in New York, I could definitely see Towns going over this 13.5 mark. In terms of the RotoWire projection model, they love this line. They're expecting 15.5. And then in terms of the market value, I played this on Dabble because it was at 13.5 with great value, and looks like Underdog has this popped up 13.5 for Dabble, and then any other book that has them at 13.5, minus 154, minus 151. So great spot to attack this on something like Underdog or Dabble, where you're getting really, really good market value in a good spot for a center specifically against this OKC team that allows a ton of rebounds. And then last rebound line I want to talk about, I'm not going to spend too much time just because I don't think there's a ton of value on it, but if you see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 5.5 anywhere, you might have to pay some juice. A lot of books have him at 4.5, but looks like DraftKings and FanDuel right now have him at 5.5. Juiced on the under, maybe be, again, looking at Dabble at 5.0. But the under here, especially if, again, Towns plays, a lot of stuff for if Towns plays in this video. But Shai, under in 54% of games so far this year. They are away. They've been on a very long road trip and did play them, again, about a week ago. Towns didn't even play that game, and he only had 4 rebounds here. So the Knicks don't allow a whole bunch of rebounds. Obviously, Josh Hart, Towns, really, really good rebounders. And that was a close game. And that one, only 4 rebounds. And again, if you see it at 5.5, I think this is a solid spot for a Shai under. And then in terms of assists, there's nothing too crazy right now, but want to point out Jaylen Brown, another one that's going to be kind of juiced on the under in a lot of books. But the FanDuel definitely has the best under value right now, minus 153 on Pinnacle, minus 145 on DraftKings, minus 166, minus 181 on some of these platforms. And he has been able to go over this, but not a ton this season. A lot of games with 4, so kind of maybe a little sketchy one. But 60% of games he has been under this. And the big thing is the Celtics are, pretty healthy in this game. So Derek White's going to be in the lineup. Obviously, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Drew Holiday, Porzingis. In the 7 games or so that he's played with those guys, he's been under in 5 of 7 of those games. So I do like to see that. I'm curious in games they've won by 10 plus. Yeah, he's under in 64% of those games as well. So if you want to attack this on something like FanDuel, that looks like it has the best value right now at minus 130. And then last assist line here, I think 7.5 for Schroeder just seems really, really high. Obviously, they are dealing with a couple injuries here with Wiggins and especially Kuminga out. Moody and Pod also potentially out for this one. But even in the Brooklyn days that he started this season, he's under in 77% of these games. Since he joined the Warriors, it looks like he's literally under in like every single game except for one. So Steph Curry's going to be playing. That's the guy that I would think has the ball a decent amount. Indiana does give up a decent amount of assists to point guards this year as opposed to last year where they didn't give up a ton of assists at all. You can see the head-to-head, he's gone under in 5 of the last 6 games. But yeah, Schroeder's minutes have been up. He's getting more than 30 minutes in a lot of these games. But this is a 7.5 point spread. They are underdogs in this one. Games they've lost by 7.5. Yeah, I can see 85% of games he's been under this one. The lines are coming out kind of all over at 7.5. A couple books actually favoring the over here. Looks like decent value on the under for FanDuel once again. But if you put this into a 5 or 6 man on PrizePicks, into a 3-man or a 5-man on Underdog or Dabble, this one looks really, really good. And the projection model over on RotoWire loves this one. They're expecting 4.93 for Dennis Schroeder. So kind of a weird one, kind of a sketchy one that it's at 7.5, but yeah, definitely something I'm interested in. And then moving into some guys that have some good 3-point matchups for today. Porzingis at 1.5. Again, kind of another one that's a little bit juiced here, but again, these are good parlay plays or parlay picks if you want to put these in. Looks like Caesars or ESPN Bet have the best value at minus 135 or minus 137 on the over. But kind of like I talked about for Giannis, like loving to play at home. Porzingis is another guy that just plays with a smile, especially in Boston. He's finally a situation where he really, really likes to play. He's over in 64% of games this year. He's going up against a team in Sacramento that allows a ton of threes, 14.5 threes. We know the Celtics like to jack up threes. So I like the hit rate in general, but at home, he's over in 5 of 6 games, which I love to see. Shoots about 7 a game, just has knocked down 2, which is not bad at all. He's shooting 32% at home, but jacking up 7, which is good to see here and a great matchup. And this is something we saw last year as well. So dating back to last year, 59% of games he went over this, but in home games, 67% hit rate. So again, a guy that just likes to play in Boston. And I could very well see Porzingis hitting 2 threes tomorrow. And then a little sneaky pick here where you can get plus money right now over on FanDuel is Guerschon Yabusele over 1.5 threes. He's only got over in 46% of games. That's definitely not telling the whole story because he's getting a ton of time now. No Embiid tomorrow, potentially no Paul George as well. He'll probably play, but I don't think it's going to affect Guerschon that much just because he's getting so much time. Jared McCain's now been ruled out for the entire year, so I expect 25 to 30 minutes. I think he's been averaging about 30 minutes in games without Embiid. Let's say the last 10 games without Embiid because he wasn't playing a ton last year. averaging 31.1 minutes per game. But he's got a great matchup here against the Pelicans. 24th ranked in terms of three-pointers made allowed to the power forward position. They're 27th ranked, allowing 3 3-pointers. So a guy that's been shooting pretty well, especially the last 10 games, 70% of the games he's gone over this. Doesn't shoot a ton of them, but again, shooting them at a 47% clip. A guy that can definitely bring the defense out, and a defense that allows a whole bunch of threes. I think he could potentially get a good spot here. Again, 3.5 point spread in favor of Philly. Zion's gonna be playing this one. I expect it to be relatively close. So if we see these minutes start to creep up for Yabusele, getting 25 minutes, 59% hit rate, 26 minutes, 70 or 67% hit rate, even 28 minutes plus, 71% of games he's gone over this, shooting a very good clip from the 3-point range. So plus 100 over on FanDuel, that's a decent value. This is something I would definitely not take on PrizePicks, Underdog, Betr, or Dabble, just because they're fixed payout systems. If I can get this at plus money somewhere else, this is not where I want to be attacking a fixed payout system. You want to be attacking the fixed payout systems when you're getting like minus 130 value, because those actually start to make sense in that situation. So this is a weird situation where I would definitely not play this on PrizePicks, on Underdog, on Betr, on Dabble. I'd definitely be looking at a Sportsbook if you can, especially FanDuel has this at plus 100. And then I'll also add the RotoWire projection model here. They're projecting 1.84, much closer to 2 than 1. So another data point that I'm liking here. And then moving into some combo lines here, this is going to be a points, rebounds, and assist line for Coby White. I know we talked about Zach LaVine earlier in the video, but without Asumu out, Coby White's been getting, obviously his normal time, but just the ball in his hands a little bit more. And we've seen him being able to crush this line decent times. We've seen him creep over this line a couple times, and the couple games he missed with Io out, he was very, very close to hitting that line. So a guy like Coby White, again, a very good matchup against Washington. Allows points, allows rebounds, allows assists, allowed. They give up everything. They're just horrible defensively to point guards, to shooting guards, whatever you want to call Coby White. You see specifically shooting guard position, 30th ranked, Larry dead last in everything. So definitely a solid spot here for Coby White. You can see the games without Io DeSumo specifically over in 5 of 7 of the games. And the games he missed, he was very, very close. Interested in seeing games that they've won by a whole bunch of points. Yeah, he's definitely a big factor in those games. In games they've won in general, been 53% of those games. Very, very close in a lot of these games as well. So Coby White, definitely someone I'm interested in looking at in terms of his PRA. But again, we talked about Zach LaVine. Maybe don't put him in the same slip, but I would expect one of these guys to play pretty well tomorrow. Also at home, curious if he gets a little boost there. A little bit of a boost, but nothing too crazy. But yeah, Coby White, definitely a solid spot here. In terms of his points, rebounds, assists, market value, let's take a look at OddsJam. Haven't pulled that up yet. We can see Coby White, 27.5, pretty much across the board. A lot of books have this favored on the over, so this is something, minus 121, minus 120. You could get this on a Sportsbook, minus 115, again on FanDuel. But you could play this on something like PrizePicks Underdog, a fixed payout system, because I would expect maybe this gets bumped up throughout the day, especially considering they're already favoring the over here and Io is already ruled out. Another thing I'll point out is the RotoWire projection model. Didn't pull that up either, but interested to see what they are thinking. PRA, they're expecting 27.3, so right around that line. But Coby White, definitely a guy that I would be looking at in this matchup. And then probably the last line I'm going to talk about, because this is already approaching a 30-minute video, Pascal Siakam at 2.5 assists. If you can find this at minus 135, Bet365, it looks like, also minus 135 on ESPN Bet. I think this is definitely a solid look with the Pacers being home. This is against the Warriors, who he didn't go over that in the matchup this year, but was definitely able to do it last year even when he was on the Pacers. He had 6 assists against them last year. So something to definitely look at. 66% hit rate. Games at home, 81% hit rate. And then you take into account that Miles Turner might be out in the 3 games he's missed. He's really gone over this pretty easily, 5, 5, and 3. And then potentially Halliburton out tomorrow as well. Again, I probably expect both these guys to play. We don't really know yet. But without Halliburton last year, a lot of these games he's going to be on the Raptors still, but 87% of games he was over this, including I think every single game he played for Indiana without Halliburton, he went over this. So something to look at if you're on Bet365 or if you're on ESPN Bet. Minus 135 for that play is definitely not too bad. All right, so I know I just talked about like a million different plays. I'm going to show you a screenshot of like a notes page that I made that has all the plays so you can have a list of them. But I'm not going to leave you guys empty-handed. Obviously, I talked for this long. Hopefully gave you guys some value in terms of guys that you might want to be looking at. And these are definitely going to be guys that I'm going to be looking at once value starts coming out. If I see certain books that have them in a value spot, that's how I bet. I don't just bet on PrizePicks. I don't just bet on Underdog. I bet on all these different platforms. And it's definitely advantageous for you guys to be on multiple different platforms. But here's a slip I want to give out for free. This is a Dabble slip that I submitted. It's a 6X. If you don't know, PrizePicks pays 5X for 3-man, so that's a really good spot for Dabble. If you don't know what Dabble is, definitely use code RICHDFS when signing up. The link is in the description for this one, but I'm really, really loving this play. We talked about Towns already over his 13.5 rebounds. Let's quickly talk about Giddey over 13.5 rebounds and assists. Again, we've talked about Zach LaVine. We've talked about Kobe White, but really, really liking Giddey in this spot. He's over in 55% of games. Again, remember no Ayo Dosunmu in this game, so that's just more balls in his hands. I had to pause there because I just laughed for about 5 straight minutes. But yeah, he's going to have the ball in his hands a little bit more. And specifically in games that they've won, not by a ton of points, but games they've won just in general, he's over in 69% of those games, which I like to see. And then home games, he also is over in 75% of these. So Giddey in a really, really good spot. In terms of market value as well, I got Porzingis already popped up here, but let's look at Giddey real quick in terms of rebounds and assists. We can see right here. Let's go to Giddey. We're going to see very, very good market value here. 13.5. It's at 14.0 on PrizePicks. Anyone that's got him at 13.5, heavily favoring the over, minus 133. We can see that that's great value for something on Dabble. You could take this on Betr as well. But yeah, really, really liking Giddey in this spot. And then for Porzingis, he's actually been rebounding the ball pretty well this year, over in 64% of games, which I like to see. The head-to-head matchup against Sacramento as well, he rebounded well against these guys last year, 9 and 11 rebounds. So Porzingis not really known for his rebounding. You can see last year he's only over in 52% of games, but he's definitely been rebounding pretty well this season. Home games, 67% of games as well. And then the market value on this one is absolutely crazy. I just had it pulled up for a second, but Porzingis right here, 6.5 on Dabble, minus 168 on Pinnacle, or 7.5 on these different books, but minus 154, minus 156. That's crazy value. We're getting, minus 122 odds if you put into a 3-man or a 5-man or 6-man on Dabble. So yeah, that's a really, really good parlay piece. And one of the main reasons I love Dabble, there's a ton of value on the board all the time. You can see just using DG Fantasy. This is just saying based strictly on market value. Here's some of the plays that Dabble's kind of slipping on. And you can see Porzingis, you can see Towns is in here. I could probably find Giddey as well just because he's got great market value. But one of the main reasons I like Dabble is because of the market value they can get there. And we see a whole lot of success attacking that market value. So not only is the hit rate, the matchup checking out, we're getting really, really good market value. So nice little 3-man for you guys to check out. Again, if you're only on PrizePicks, if you're only on FanDuel, if you're only on Underdog or something, definitely branch out. You not only get the deposit matches when starting up, specifically for Dabble when you use my code RICHDFS, you get $25 just for making an account. You don't even have to put your credit card in. And then if you go ahead and deposit at least $10, I'll get you a free month of the Discord as well. So just kind of showing you guys what that looks like. These are all the tabs I have for my plays. There's also a rich chat. We have some seasoned chefs in here that have been doing it for a while that share plays all the time. Play of the day would be something that you really like that could be used as a parlay place or a parlay piece. Share your slips is another spot that anyone can, post their slips. And then I've got some PrizePicks math. I've got some Underdog math that just goes into what you want to be playing, 2-mans versus 3-mans versus 5-mans or whatever it might be. And then also like voting vault, any sort of injury news. So it's definitely a really fun community. But yeah, really, really liking this Dabble slip. So it's going to be the free slip of the video. And then again, of course, I have to plug some stuff throughout this video if you maybe are bothered by it, but that's what continues to let me do this for you guys. And this is how you sign up: PrizePicks, Underdog, Chalkboard, Betr, Sleeper, Dabble, Parlay, Play, or Flip if you sign up for any of those using my codes. They're a little bit different on each website. But yeah, that's how you get a free month of Discord. You can get a ton of different free months. I want you guys to be able to get in here for free. I'm really all about the community aspect of it, but again, I get kickback anytime you guys use my codes, and you're going to get some sort of deposit match or something like that for you guys as well. And of course, the free time in the Discord. DG Fantasy, Odds Jam, Outlier, and RotoWire also partners of the channel, and you're going to get perks for those as well. So I appreciate anyone that uses those. Let me know in the comments down below, or join the free part of the Discord. Just let me know, say, hey, use your code, and I'll quickly get you guys that free access. All right, so totally different type of video for this one. Again, just kind of focusing on matchups, guys that I want to be attacking for that day. And we talked about a bunch of different plays. I think there's like 15 different plays. So definitely let me know in the comments down below if you liked this setup of the video. This is something that I could definitely be interested in doing the night before. And then definitely let me know if you're interested in me getting a normal video out where I go over some PrizePicks plays and things like that. But yeah, here's the recap. Zach LaVine over his 26 points, which is on Dabble, 26.5 on a lot of different places. Brunson under his points against OKC. Keep an eye out for Karl Anthony Towns. DeMar DeRozan, I like his 18.5 points over. Vucevic over his 10.5 rebounds, if you can find that. I played it at 11 at Dabble. Giannis Antetokounmpo under his 30.5 points. Not a lot of books have that out, but that seems way too high to me. That's where 1 or 2 books had it out right now. Towns over his 13.5 rebounds. Porzingis over his 6.5 rebounds. Shea taking a look at his 5.5 rebounds under. I probably wouldn't play at anything under that. Jaylen Brown under his 4.5 assists. Schroeder under his 7.5 assists. That one just seems way too high to me. Siakam over 2.5 assists. That's going to be a juiced play, but something to take a look at, especially considering the fact that they are home and a couple guys potentially missing tomorrow's game or tonight's game. Josh Giddey over his 13.5 rebounds and assists. Porzingis again, but over his 3-pointers at 1.5. A plus money fit play to maybe take a look at for Guerschon Yabusele over his 1.5 threes, and then Kobe White over 27.5 PRA. All right, so that was a lot of talking, obviously, like I just kind of mentioned. Definitely let me know if it was too much information, if it was boring, if you got something out of it. The comment section is great for that. And leave the video a like if you're down there already. And, of course, subscribe if you are new. But, yeah, this is something I could definitely see myself trying to getting into the flow of, doing these kind of later night video picks to get my brain kind of thinking about the games already, having guys in mind that I know have good matchups, maybe guys that have been playing pretty well in particular areas, and it could definitely be a consistent type of thing where I drop these later night videos. Maybe not this late, but it just gets my brain already starting to think for when I wake up tomorrow and start looking at the value on the board. But yeah, almost a 40-minute video. Again, ton of information. So hopefully you guys got something out of that. Let me know, and I will catch you guys tomorrow for probably another video talking about specifically PrizePick plays or some DFS plays on some other sites. Use my codes. Again, it's a great way to support the channel. It's also a great way to get perks and discount codes for the tools I was using or the platforms I am partnered with. It's definitely advantageous to be on multiple different platforms. As you kind of saw, some of these lines are different on different areas. So if I like Zach LaVine at 26.5, I'm going to play him if I can find him at 26.0 over on something like Dabble. So that will do it. I'm rambling at this point. I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace out.